One of the things I hear so often from people learning piano is they just want to sit down and play. They don't want to be glued to the sheet music or boxed in by constantly thinking about complex theory or chords. They just want to get creative and improvise a piece of music that actually sounds good. We've all seen those musicians play who seem to just be so in the moment. They're not thinking or doing anything else other than just letting the music flow. In this video, I'm going to walk you through an 8-step method of how you can become more free on the piano. I'm going to show you how to improvise using chords, and if you follow all of the steps in this video, you'll soon be able to sit down at the piano and a brand new piece of music will flow out. Let's dive in. Hello, welcome back to the Keys Coach YouTube channel. My name's Adam and thank you so much for clicking on this video. I've been so excited about putting this video together because when I discovered this method, it completely changed my playing. I genuinely mean that. It's an absolute game changer. It opened up so many new possibilities on the piano, particularly in terms of improvising and getting creative and being able to come up with a piece of music on the spot. If you want to follow along at home, I've put together a free PDF lesson book, which you can download by clicking the link in the video description. That'll take you through each step that I'm going to cover in this video, and it will really help you get these sounds under your fingers. So go ahead and grab that. So step one is to choose your key. Now I'm going to pick a key that I really like playing in. I like playing in the key of F major. So this is my F major scale. And I always think F is a really nice and bright key. I mean, it's very personal, but that's what I kind of think. I think it's bright. It's got one flat, it's got B flat in it, just that one there. And if I play you the scale, the first thing is to get that scale really strong under your fingers. I'd probably do that in both hands. So we're only going to think about the notes in F major. That's going to be the entire kind of menu of notes that we've got on offer for us today. I might just do a few little extra exercises to get the sound of that key under my fingers. And for those of you that watched the Don't Practice Scales video where I took you through how to harmonize a major scale, F major harmonized in that kind of a process, it sounds like this. So once you've got that scale really strong under your fingers, step 2 is to take out the 7th degree. So what is the 7th degree of F major? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's E natural. So we're just going to play the scale without that E natural. This is known as a hexatonic scale because it has 6 notes. Another really good way to practice this scale is to change the starting note. So often when we play scales, we actually practice them just from the root to the root, which isn't actually how a lot of music works. If you think about melodies, they often go below the scale and they also go above the scale. So all I did there was I started the scale, exactly the same F hexatonic scale, but started it on a C. And this is a really useful thing to practice because when we come to improvise melodies a little bit later on, we're not going to be boxed in by having the root at the bottom or the root at the top. We're going to be able to extend. So this is where the fun really starts. You now need to think to yourself, what kind of music do I want to create? I'm going to go for something slow and chilled. I'm kind of thinking of a piano ballad kind of style. I'm kind of thinking of that tempo. The great thing about doing something slower is that it's going to give you a bit more thinking time and you're not going to have to process things so fast. You're going to just have a bit more time to work out what you're going to play. So I'd probably go for something slower if you're just starting out with this. And it's really important to think about the groove. In other words, if there was a drummer playing with you, what would they be playing? I'm kind of thinking like I do this all the time. I vocalize drum grooves because what it really does is it helps you get a sense of the groove. But also what it does that's even more important is it gives you the subdivision. Now the subdivision is and I've got that running through my head all of the time when I'm playing. It's so important because that's what gives you the rhythmic drive, it gives you the groove, it gives you the energy, and it also means that you can dip into each one of those subdivisions when you're playing. So I'm really hearing the sound of that hi-hat As you can probably tell, I'm not a beatboxer by any stretch of the imagination, but it's so important to vocalize these grooves. It really will make a difference to your playing. The next step is to come up with a bass line. Now, when we get further down the process and you get a bit more comfortable with this, you might be able to be even freer with this and actually make the bass line up on the spot. But I think when you're starting out, it's quite good to pre-plan what your bass line is going to be. So I think what I'm going to do for my bass line is I'm going to start on 1, and then I'm going to go to the 6, and then I'm going to go to the 4, the 5, and the 1. So if it's going at that kind of tempo, it would be like this: 3, 4. Something like that. I might vary that a bit, but it's that kind of idea. This is a really useful thing to do, by the way. If you can click your fingers on the beat, if you can do this, it's so important because you're working on so many different things. Keeping a groove, maintaining a tempo, hand independence. It's all really useful stuff as a keys player. You want to think of your left hand as this kind of foundation that your improvisation is going to go over. So you want to make sure this is really secure. So the next stage is to have a go at improvising a melody over your bass line that you've created. So again, we're only going to use these notes. And we're just going to come up with something that fits in with our groove and works with our bass line. And what I was doing there was I was varying the bass line very slightly by just playing some additional notes to keep the rhythm going. The great thing about this scale is that all of the notes kind of work together and you don't really get any clashes or notes that don't sound very good when you combine them. So at this stage, I'd probably just recommend not thinking too much about what you're playing in your right hand. Just trying to come up with melodies that sound musical. One of the things you can get in the sort of habit of doing is finding something that works and then just playing that over and over and over again. Really try and stretch out and try and find new ideas and really challenge yourself. Right, think I've played that idea, I'm now going to try and play something completely different. So all of the time when I'm improvising that melody, I've got the drummer in my head. And that's just helping me lock in time, it's helping me hear the subdivision, and it's just making it sound a bit more groovy rather than it kind of going out of time. I'm really trying to lock in with that drummer. I'm also using the sustain pedal just to glue things together. And it just really helps to kind of make everything flow from one chord to another. If I play you something similar without the sustain pedal, it's quite hard to kind of get that sort of glue and that kind of flow. So yeah, I'd really recommend using the sustain pedal, but don't hold it down. Make sure you're actually bringing it up each time the bass note changes. So you might be thinking, oh, that's all well and good. I've kind of got my melody and I've got my bass line, but it doesn't sound full. It doesn't sound like a piece of music. It sounds like it's missing something. It sounds like it's missing all the kind of harmony. Well, you're completely right. And I'm going to show you now how you can harmonize your melody in the right hand. And it's really simple. I've heard this called the claw before, okay? So sometimes it's called the claw. And all it does is it plays two shapes. Let me show you this. I'll do that once more. I'll come down. So did you spot the two triads I'm using there? I'm only using an F major triad and a G minor triad. And they're alternating, so it goes F, G minor, F, G minor, F, G minor, F. All I'm doing is I'm using inversions of those triads. So watch this. There's my F triad. If I take this note and I put it up an octave, And I do the same with this note. And then I do that note again. I'm back where I started. There's all my F inversions. And I do the same with G minor. Put this note up an octave. Put this note up an octave. Put this note up an octave. I've then got all my inversions of a G minor triad. If I put them together, and I'm always thinking about my little finger as being the melody note. So this is the note that's carrying the melody. If this part of the video is just a little bit like, whoa, how's that all working? Don't forget you can go and get that PDF, and I've written these out for you so you can really practice them and get them under your fingers. So how can you really practice those triad shapes? Well, the first thing I'd do would be to take one of them, let's say take the F triad, and let's just go up and down the piano and really try and get those secure. I do that a few times. I then do the same with G minor. And then what I do is I come up with a pattern. I'd say, right, I'm going to try and do this. I'll do that again. So do you see, I'm only ever playing an F or a G minor triad. And a really easy way to think about it, if your melody note is either an F, an A, or a C, you're going to harmonize it with an F triad. And if your melody note is a G, a B flat, or a D, you're going to harmonize it with a G minor triad. Once you've got that down, you then want to start having a go at just playing a melody, but using those triad shapes. So the next step, you're going to put your hands together. So if we remember our bass line, I think it was that. Again, it doesn't matter if the bass line varies, that's the whole point of this. I'm now going to try and add my right hand over the top and improvise melodies as I'm playing the bass note. So watch this. Now there are a couple of extra little shifts and things I did there, but the bare bones of it, in my right hand, I'm just playing F or G minor, and in my left hand, I'm playing just notes from that scale that we looked at earlier, the hexatonic scale. And I've shown this to so many keys players and piano players and people who are learning, and they all say the same thing. They go, but that's so simple. And the reality is, yes, it is really simple. And so often in music, the simplest ideas are the best. I'm going to vary the bass line. So you get the idea, it can just take you to so many new places and it can open up so many new possibilities, this. Because it is so simple, but it's so expressive. And it's a really simple system that you can follow to just get these sounds immediately under your fingers. So I'm going to show you one more step of how you can take this to the next level. The first thing I'm going to do is add in an additional note in the bass. Now, E flat isn't a note that was originally in our hexatonic scale, but it sounds so good in this sequence. Let me show you. So just adding that E flat adds so much variation there. It's just a really tasty note that you can add in to kind of take the harmony to a slightly different place. The other thing I'm doing is I'm splitting some triads in my right hand. Do you see I'm doing that little kind of glitch? And all I'm doing, anytime I have a black note directly adjacent to a white note, so for example here, I can slide. And it just gives it a little bit of extra something. It's just a little trick that you can use. It's so common for keys players to do this. This was such a game changer for me when I learned this system. And the great thing is it works in so many different styles. Let me show you in like a kind of up-tempo kind of style what this would sound like. There's even a way you can actually make it more bluesy. I'll quickly show you this. You can add in an A flat triad. That kind of gives you an idea. But yeah, I think that might be something for another video. Go try it out at home. I'd love to hear you experimenting with this and seeing where you take it. Maybe you could upload a video to Instagram and tag me in it, and I'd love to have a listen. Thanks for watching this video. If you've got something out of it, it would mean a huge amount to me if you could like the video, subscribe to the channel and ding the bell. It would mean you'll be kept up to date with all of the new videos I release. I've got so many plans for this channel and where I want to take it. I want to grow it into an amazing community of keys players and musicians. So drop a comment below and I'll see you in the next video.